Not every update needs to be a revolution. Sometimes the smarter move is to look carefully at what's working, address what isn't, and make targeted changes that add up to something meaningfully better without throwing away what made the vehicle appealing in the first place. That's essentially the philosophy behind Jeep's latest refresh of the Commander in South America. And honestly, it's a reasonable approach for a model that already has a solid foundation to build on. The most visible changes are upfront, where the Commander has been brought more in line with the direction Jeep is taking across its newer models. The 7-slot grille, one of the brand's most recognizable signatures, has been shortened, which sounds like a minor adjustment but actually makes a noticeable difference to how the front end reads. It looks tighter, cleaner, and more intentional. New LED headlights accompany that change, and the design of those units draws a fairly clear visual line to the latest Compass. That kind of consistency across a lineup matters more than it might seem from the outside. It gives the brand a coherent identity rather than a collection of models that look like they came from different eras. The lower bumper has been reworked as well, with a larger central air intake giving the front a more assertive character. On the Blackhawk variant, that aggressiveness is dialed up further, which suits the positioning of that particular trim. Reworked fog lights and stylized side intakes round out the changes down low. Some of those elements are more decorative than functional, but in this segment, visual presence carries real weight with buyers, and Jeep clearly understands that. Along the side, the updates are more restrained. New wheel designs refresh the profile without demanding that anyone dramatically rethink what the Commander looks like. Around the back, the changes are actually among the most striking of the whole update. The revised taillight graphics incorporate a continuous lighting strip that runs across the width of the vehicle, which is a treatment that's become something of a design shorthand for modernity in recent years. It adds a sense of width to the rear and gives the Commander a more sophisticated after-dark presence. Combined with the front-end changes, the overall effect is a vehicle that looks like it belongs to the current moment rather than a previous generation. Inside, the updates are more surgical, but still worth noting. The most immediately noticeable change is the replacement of the conventional gear lever with a rotary selector. It's finished with a knurled texture and metallic accents, with Jeep branding integrated into the design. The result feels noticeably more premium to the touch, and the freed-up console space is a practical bonus that buyers tend to appreciate once they've lived with it for a while. Center consoles in 3-row family crossovers can feel cramped, and removing the traditional gear lever opens things up in a way that improves the overall sense of space and usability. Higher specification variants gain a 360-degree camera system, which is the kind of feature that sounds optional until you're trying to maneuver something nearly 5 meters long through a tight car park or a narrow urban street. The Commander is a large vehicle, and having a comprehensive view of what's happening around all 4 corners takes a genuine edge off the stress of parking it in confined spaces. The rest of the interior remains familiar, which isn't necessarily a criticism. If the layout works, changing it for the sake of change tends to create problems rather than solve them. On the powertrain side, the Commander continues to offer a range of options that covers meaningfully different kinds of buyers. The headline engine in Brazil is a turbocharged 2-liter Hurricane 4-cylinder, producing 268 horsepower and 400 newton-meters of torque. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in around 7 seconds is a respectable figure for a 3-row crossover of this size, and it makes the Commander genuinely capable in a way that distinguishes it from rivals that prioritize space over pace. For buyers covering serious distances or operating in conditions that demand strong low-end pulling power, a 2.2-liter multi-jet diesel is available, making 197 horsepower and 450 newton-meters. Diesel suits a particular type of buyer very well, one that puts in highway kilometers regularly and wants a drivetrain that works best when it's being asked to sustain cruising speeds over long periods. The third option is a 1.3-liter Turbo Flex, producing 174 horsepower and 270 newton-meters, which offers compatibility with flexible fuel blends at a more accessible entry point into the lineup without stripping the car of meaningful performance.
Looking ahead, a mild hybrid variant is in the pipeline. Known internally as the T270 Hybrid, it's expected to pair the existing Turbo Flex engine with a small 0.9 kilowatt-hour battery and an electric motor producing 28 horsepower. The overall system output won't transform the Commander into a performance machine, and that's not the point. The aim is incremental improvement in fuel efficiency and a modest reduction in emissions, the kind of gains that add up meaningfully in everyday driving without requiring any significant change in how the vehicle is used or charged. It's a pragmatic step toward electrification rather than a wholesale commitment to it, which fits the market context of South America, where infrastructure for full EVs remains inconsistent across many regions. One of the more unusual additions to the Commander's offering in Brazil is its inclusion in Jeep's certified armoring program. This isn't a detail that would appear in a press release for markets where personal security isn't a pressing concern, but in Brazil it addresses a very real consideration for a meaningful segment of buyers. The available Level 3A armor is rated to withstand the majority of handgun threats, including high-caliber rounds. The work is carried out in collaboration with specialized partners who meet the quality standards required for factory certification, and buyers can either purchase armored units through the dealership network or place custom orders. What makes this arrangement particularly notable is that it doesn't void the manufacturer warranty. Armored Commanders still come with a 5-year factory warranty, which provides assurance that the protection measures haven't compromised the underlying vehicle in ways that would create reliability problems down the line. That continuity of support matters enormously to buyers making this kind of purchase. Taken together, these updates reflect a coherent strategy that doesn't try to do too much at once. Jeep isn't attempting to reinvent the Commander or chase trends that don't fit its core identity. Instead, the approach is to sharpen the things that already work: the design, the powertrain options, the interior quality, while adding specific features that either address known gaps or open the vehicle to new buyers. The 360-degree camera deals with the practical challenge of size. The rotary gear selector improves the tactile experience of using the car every day. The mild hybrid variant, when it arrives, will give efficiency-conscious buyers a reason to consider the Commander that they might not have had before. And the certified armoring program acknowledges the specific context in which many Brazilian buyers will actually use the vehicle. Whether or not this balanced approach is enough to keep the Commander competitive in a segment that isn't standing still is the real question. Rivals are updating their own offerings regularly, and the bar for what buyers consider acceptable in terms of technology, efficiency, and design continues to rise. But Jeep's position here is that of a brand making considered choices about how to keep a strong product relevant without losing what made it strong in the first place. That kind of discipline is harder than it looks, and the updated Commander is a reasonably good demonstration of it working as intended.